say it. Okay, so we'll start with Supta Baddha Konasana, supine bound angle. If you have a bolster or a bolster substitute, we're going to lie back over that with the legs in bound angle pose. And I'll set mine up so that anybody who needs that will be able to see.
Definitely a lot higher on these bolsters.
Yeah.
They feel good though. Oh man, my shoulder's a lot better. Just like
That alarms me a little bit. I'm wondering if you're doing something when you work out to irritate it.
it might have been nothing really to work out. It's just I did something I never left.
All right. So this should be a very comfortable pose. Sometimes if you're feeling it uncomfortable in the low back, you might think you want to move the bolster in closer to your low back, but actually you want to move it further toward your head if you're not fully comfortable in this pose. So again, for people who are maybe watching the video later, put the belt around low in back, put it around the feet in front, and then you bring your heels in close and you pull the strap so that it just holds your legs passively in this bound angle pose. And then you just lie back. And just be completely at ease. It's not a bad idea, I'm going to do it myself, to put some height of one sort or another under your knees or thighs at the beginning, because that just allows you to rest passively in the pose without feeling strain. So this is kind of how I like to start. And as you're here, then just let the breath flow evenly and quietly in and out the nose. As much as you can, you want to breathe in and out the nose. Some yoga lineages or concepts promote the idea of inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And the Iyengars don't really do that, and I follow the Iyengars on this. There are certain pranayama practices where you do that. But for the regular breath, as we work through class, my recommendation is in and out through the nose, unless we're doing a specific pranayama. And of course, anytime as you're exerting and you feel the need to breathe through your mouth, you just go ahead and do that. But then return when you can to the breathing in and out the nose. Okay, then let's take a few deeper breaths and prepare to come up out of this pose. When you do, try to come up sternum first, or you can roll off your bolster, however you like, but come up to a seated posture. And then I want to go into a version of setu, bandha, sarvangasana. I want to do this as a sequence. So if you have sufficient props, you can follow along. If you don't, then you can improvise, or you can just do what you can. So I'm going to show what the idea is here. We're going to start with the bolster like so. And I want to have a bit of a height here, which is where the shoulders will go. And then another height, if you have, that will serve kind of as a pillow here, like so. So then just watch for a moment, because even though it's simple, I want to kind of get the concept clearly. So if you sit on the end of your bolster, or you're using a folded blanket or something, whatever height it is, and you lie back like so. You want to have your shirt a little bit loose in front because it's going to pull up toward your throat. If you kind of grip the bolster and then slide yourself up, dragging just to the point where your shoulders will just touch that blanket. Now you want to be kind of evenly positioned. You want to feel that you're symmetrical here. And so that's why I kind of moved around a little bit, even though I really want to just drag straight off. The bolsters can be a little puffy on one side more than another. So you have to kind of work with it a little bit to maintain a really as perfectly symmetrical and balanced a position as you can. So in this position, it's exactly where I wanted it. The top of my bolster is right at the bottom tip of my shoulder blades. So then I can just let my hands out to the sides, or I can have my hands on my torso. And then you have the option of keeping your knees bent or extending your legs out and letting them fall to the side. So this is the initial pose. Setu bandha, sarvangasana with bolster. So give it a go. And again, once you're in the pose, then you just let gravity take over, and you just go into that quiet, even breath in and out the nose. Setu bandha, sarvangasana over bolster. Okay, so now, with as little disturbance as possible, what I want to do is that blanket that's under your shoulders, I want to remove that. And then you inch just a little further headwise, so you get a little bit bigger back bend, and it moves the position of the sort of break point where the bolster is on your shoulder blades to a slightly different place. So what I'm going to do is I'm lying down here. I'm going to move the pillow out of the way. I'm going to take the thing that I was putting under my shoulders. I'm going to put it under my head, and then I'm going to just slide down until now my shoulders again touch the floor. Now the top edge of the bolster is below my shoulder blades, and again I rest down into the pose. Bridge pose, setu, bandha, sarvangasana. You may notice as you let gravity take over here that depending on exactly where that top edge of the bolster is, it kind of gives a lift to the front chest, to the lower part of the sternum. So it lifts it up toward the ceiling, but also up toward the top sternum. So there's a lifting and extension up with the sternum. But you're not doing it, you're allowing the bolster to do that for you. And you just rest down into the pose. But you want to remember that feeling. You want to remember the feeling. You want to emphasize that neuromuscular structure where you feel symmetrical and the chest lifted and open. All right, so we're going to prepare now to come out of this. There are different ways to do it. You can bend your knees, put your feet on the floor, lift up, and just push the bolster out to the side behind you. Or you can just gently, carefully kind of roll off and come up to a seated posture. So now, the next thing I want to do is viparita, hasta, what is it? Hastasana. What is it? The arms overhead thing. Can't remember those Sanskrit. So I'm going to move these other props out of the way. And I'm going to do it facing this way. Even though what I would really like to do, I'm going to show you, is I'd really like to do it with my feet against the wall. So you may wish to do this. It just helps to improve the structure. It's just that I have to do too much manipulation with the camera to be able to record it well. You can see it on the side vision view well enough. But so if you have that, feel free to use it. But also have a block or a book and a belt. So before we get started in the pose in earnest, take your belt, strap, whatever you have, and make it a small loop such that when you have it over your arms like this, it'll keep your arms in at shoulder distance. Now mine's a little bit tighter than shoulder distance, and that's fine. Now you can see when I lift my arms up overhead, everybody's going to be different on this. If I have the belt just above my elbow, when I bring my arms overhead, I can clear my head. A lot of people can't. So you might have to have the belt below your elbows and do it like so. So that'll be okay, that's fine. But just have that, that structure in place, and then you can kind of just put the belt to the side for the moment. And then I'll show you just for a moment quickly what we're gonna do. So we're gonna extend out on the floor. We're gonna bring our arms into Namaskar. We're gonna bring our arms overhead, separate the palms, and then using the floor to help us locate that plane into which we want the back body to reside. Feel that as you do this, your shoulder blades, your shoulders, your upper back are evenly and symmetrically on the floor, and then we extend. So this is the first part. And so let's go ahead. So go ahead and lie down in Supta Tadasana, supine mountain pose or supine standing pose. Big toes together, heels extended, kneecaps firm into the thighs. If you're using a wall, you extend your heels into the wall. Lift the inner edge of the shoulder blades and take the outer shoulders into the floor. So there's a lift, again, as we had a moment ago with the use of the prop, the bolster, in that lower part of the sternum. And then take the hands into Namaskar at your chest. Press the palms together evenly. Keep extending the heels away, extend the big toe mounds away, kneecaps firm into the thighs. Again, check in. Are the shoulder blades evenly on the floor? Is the back of your head balanced evenly, symmetrically on the floor? And then we'll take the arms and extend them overhead, separating the palms. Open the palms, keep the palms facing each other, fully extend through the arms, palms, fingertips, and the other way through the heels and the big toe mounds. Now, as you get this full extension in both directions, then we want to bring the upper arms toward the floor. Your thumbs may touch the floor, but don't worry too much about that. We don't want to lift the arch of the low back to do that. We want to focus on keeping the extension through the arms, an even symmetrical extension, and at the same time then moving the upper arms toward the floor. Urdhva Hastasana. You knew the Sanskrit would come to me eventually. And then bring the hands back into Namaskar, chest. Let's interlace the fingers on the crown of the head. Flip the palms over, and then extend through the elbows, pressing the palms as if they were pressing into a wall. And then once again, bring the upper arms toward the floor, but focus on maintaining that extension through the heels one way, through the palms the other, and maintaining the symmetry and evenness of the pressure of the shoulder blades, shoulders on the floor. And then come back to Namaskar in your chest. Change the interlace of your fingers such that the opposite index finger is on top. Palms to the crown of the head. Flip the palms over. Press the elbows straight. For most of us, this does not feel so symmetrical. So you want to maintain that symmetry in the shoulders and shoulder blades, and then press through the elbows as symmetrically as you can manage, and then bring the upper arms again toward the floor. And then back to Namaskar. And then take your block or your book that you may have. Take it in the medium width position and press your palms into the block as if you're doing Namaskar, as if you're pressing your palms together. There just happens to be a block there. And then extend the block and arms straight up to the ceiling. Again, find that symmetry, that balance, the evenness of the shoulders, the upper back on the floor. Press the palms into the block evenly. Don't hold the block with your fingers and thumb. You're holding the block there just with the pressure of your palms. And then keeping the elbows extended, bring the block to or toward the floor. Go on extending the heels one way and the palms and fingertips the other, pressing your palms into the block, elbows straight. Again, the upper arms move toward the floor. So the block may or may not touch the floor. For me, the block is not touching the floor because I just don't have that much mobility through my shoulders. I could do it, but I would have to lose the symmetrical form and overarch my low back. So what we want to do is maintain the form and structure while pressing evenly into the block. Okay, and then bring the block back to your chest in a sort of version of Namaskar. Take a few breaths, and we'll do it once again. Okay, pressing the block evenly, extending arms, hands up toward the ceiling, extend through the straight elbows, locate that symmetry, that balance, that evenness of your upper back and shoulders on the floor. And then once again, rotate through the shoulders, bringing the block toward the floor. Fully extend the heels and big toe mounds one way, the arms, palms, fingers, block the other way. Press into the block evenly with both palms. And then back to your Namaskar. Put the block to the side for a moment. Take your belt and put the belt around your arms. And then you're going to take the block and once again hold it between your palms. Now you may find that it's too loose. You want to be able to fully extend, open up your elbows, restricted only by the belt, and yet still be able to press the block. So you may have to tighten your belt. Or if you can't get your hands to the outside of the blocks, you may have to loosen your belt. But in any case, find your spot, as I am here, with the belt around the elbows or either above or below the elbows, and the block between the palms. Extend through the straight elbows up toward the ceiling, and then again now we bring the block toward the floor. Stay in the pose for a moment. I'm going to come up. I just want to take a look at how everybody is doing, if I can see. And I really can't see anybody. So you're all doing great. All right, you can bring that back to neutral, and take all the props off. Set them aside, and we'll do Urdhva Hastasana supine version once again. So again, now extend out in Supta Tadasana, supine mountain pose. Lift the inner edge of the shoulder blades, taking the outer deltoids toward the floor. Bring your palms into Namaskar. Extend the heels away, the big toe mounds away. And then bring the arms overhead. Separate the palms. Fully extend. So it should feel really easy now. Just fully extend in both directions. Hopefully it just feels more symmetrical. We all have little kinks and restrictions here and there, so we may not achieve perfect symmetry, but we try to move toward symmetry and balance and evenness. And then back to Namaskar. And then just let the legs fall out away from each other. Just rest here in Supta Tadasana. All right, you can bend your knees, roll to your side, and again, come to a seated posture. And again, just watch for a moment. The next thing is Chaturanga Dandasana, but it's going to be a pretty comfortable version. We're not going to work hard in this. I want to do this in a way that focuses on structure. So I'm going to use a bolster for it, and just watch. So I stretch out over the bolster like so. Bring my hands into a position as if I'm going to do a push-up or downward dog. Toes are turned under. Tighten the kneecaps into the thighs. Lift the thighs. Press the palms evenly into the floor. Now the goal here in this version is to get an even pressure of the palms into the floor while maintaining as perfect a symmetry as you can using the prop. So the idea here is to engage the muscles as if we're going to push off. Don't push off so you can maintain it, but get that feeling of a perfect symmetry. This is the idea. So you can use a bolster, or you could use a block, or any other such structure that might work for you. This is how it would look with the block. So find what you want to use. I'm going to stick with the bolster. And once you've got that, then stretch yourself out over the bolster. Find a comfortable spot. Find it so that you can be here and not be feeling something jamming into your throat or wherever. So find a good spot for yourself. Have the palms open on the floor. And then tighten the kneecaps into the thighs. Extend the heels back. Internal rotation with the skin and muscles of the thighs. Locate that balance and symmetry over the bolster. And now begin to just gently but firmly press your palms into the floor. Note that your middle finger should point forward and your thumbs reaching more or less toward each other. Keep the elbows in at the sides. So press the palms evenly, and that usually means a little extra emphasis on the index finger ball mount and the base of the thumb. But don't give up on the little finger either. And just, again, gently but firmly press the palms into the floor as if you're going to lift off, but don't lift off. Just experience how it feels in the middle and upper back when you have that even application of pressure of the palms into the floor. Okay, and then rest for a few breaths, and we'll do it again. Change your prop if you like, if you're not finding it in the right spot or you want to use a different prop. Go ahead. Okay, and let's do it again. Chaturanga Dandasana with bolster or other prop. Again, extend the heels back, tighten the kneecaps into the thighs. Position your hands with palms open, middle fingers pointing forward, thumbs reaching more or less toward each other, elbows in at the sides. You're looking down and just a little bit forward, and then press the palms firmly but gently into the floor as if you're going to lift off, but don't lift off. Just get that feeling of even symmetry in the back and shoulders as you apply that even pressure of the palms into the floor. Keep holding that for a bit. The idea is that you'll move to a place of fatigue even though you're not really lifting off. See how that feels, maintain the evenness, the symmetry, even though there starts to be a little fatigue building in. All right, and then rest again. You can take the bolster away if you want to rest more easily without that. All right, go ahead and come up from there. And again, just watch for a moment. I want to do a version of diagonal plank pose. So what we'll be doing is we'll start on hands and knees with the palms open. Again, the middle fingers pointing forward, thumbs reaching toward each other. Shoulders over the wrists, elbows straight. Now my right hand, and arm is a bit of a mess because I've got shortened tendons in my right hand and some problems in my wrist. So you just do what you can. And then we're going to just come into a diagonal plank like so. And then we're just going to lower down. Then we'll just come back to the knees again. So that's the idea. So just give that a try. Come into a diagonal plank. Well, first start on your hands and knees. Open the palms onto the floor. Middle fingers point forward, thumbs reaching toward each other. Shoulders over wrists. Even pressure of the palms into the floor. Then you kind of walk your knees back a little bit and lift into that diagonal plank. And then just slowly, under control, lower yourself to the floor. And then come back to your knees, reset, and do it again. So the idea here is you're just controlling the descent and not trying to do the push-up, back up. And the idea is to experience that evenness and symmetry as you do all of this. So do it 3 or 4 times. Just kind of get the feel for that. Okay, and then the next time you come up onto your knees, go up into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So then as you do your downward dog, take account of all the same things. Open palms, middle fingers pointing forward, thumbs reaching toward each other, sort of. It doesn't have to be aggressive. Elbows extended straight, extend straight through the knees, kneecaps firm into the thighs. Notice how your upper back and shoulders feel. Are they symmetrical? As you press the palms down evenly, do you feel that the shoulders are aligned? We've been doing a whole number of things looking for that alignment, so maybe you can find that feeling of alignment now in your downward dog. So now take downward facing hero pose, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Your knees are apart, your big toes touch. Sit back on your heels, head down. And now, once again, do all those same structural elements. The palms evenly on the floor, middle fingers pointing forward, thumbs reaching toward each other. Extend straight through the elbows. So you want to have a little lift of your forearms, elbows, and upper arms off the floor. So for some people, they may be touching, but not resting down. Rather extending through the palms, pressing the palms evenly down, getting that lift in the arms, extending the groins back and down onto your heels. So you get a nice length, but you maintain that symmetry, that feeling of evenness that guides you first from the feeling of the even pressure of the palms. That sense of the evenness of the palms, you can use that to locate that same feeling in your shoulders and upper back. And then right up again into downward dog, maintaining that symmetry. That even pressure of the palms on the floor, it usually requires a little extra emphasis on the base knuckle of the index finger and the base of the thumb. So a little extra emphasis on there. It kind of internally rotates the arm a bit. Not much, just a touch. And then as you're here, with the arms and legs straight, keeping the lift in your arms, move your chest toward your thighs. Head and neck release. And then again, rest in downward facing hero pose. This time just rest. Don't worry about working at the symmetry or any of that. Just be at ease. Just take a few breaths. All right, and then come up from there, and we'll come up into a standing posture. I'm going to move my sticky mat back to the wall. If you have a wall, this would be a good time to take advantage of it, but you don't need it. We're going to do Urdhva Hastasana with our hands on the wall, but if you don't have a wall, you just pretend. I mean, everybody has a wall, but you may not have wall space. So if you don't have wall space, you just do standing pose, Tadasana. If you do have a wall, then you face the wall with your feet just a few inches away from the wall and your palms evenly on the wall. So whether you're pretending to have a wall or have one, what you're doing really is Chaturanga Dandasana, just like we did lying over the bolster or other prop. So you want to have your palms open, either pressing against the wall gently or pretending that they are. And as before, you want to put a little extra emphasis on the base knuckle of the index finger and the thumb. The middle fingers point straight up. The thumbs are reaching toward each other. The elbows stay in. Kneecaps firmly into the thighs. Use your hands on the wall or the pretend wall to guide you into a nice upright symmetrical posture. So once again, we're using this all to locate symmetry in the shoulders and mid and upper back. Now keep that upright posture. Keep your body as if it's, you know, a 5-6 foot tall plank of wood, and rotating through your ankles, you take your forehead to the wall. Now, if you don't have a wall, don't worry about it. Just stand in Tadasana as you are. Now, if you have a wall or not, then you're going to just extend your hands all the way up. And again, press your palms evenly into the wall. Don't go up onto your toes, just stay on your heels. The object here is, again, to locate the symmetry. So whether you have a wall or not, pretend that you do, and locate that feeling of symmetry in the shoulders and upper back. And just reside here. Just breathe here evenly, comfortably, in and out the nose. If you're not using a wall, you may get tired here, and you can just bring your hands down when you need to. In fact, let's all go ahead and just keep your forehead on the wall. Bring your hands back down to shoulder level, and then just gently push away from the wall. So now everybody is in one form or another of Tadasana, standing pose. And then let's do it again. Palms evenly on the wall or pretend wall. Kneecaps firm into the thighs, rotating through the ankles, take the forehead to the wall. Again, if you don't have a wall, you're just standing upright in Tadasana. And then we extend the arms up, all the way up. Extend through straight elbows, extend down through the straight knees. Palms evenly pressing. Locate the symmetry with the pressure of the palms and carry that through the arms and shoulders and upper back, middle back. And then again, bring the arms down, push away from the wall, and be at ease. Okay, so this next one will take us into a bit of a more challenging structure. People who have taken my classes, I think, are pretty familiar with this. You want to take your chair, like so, and then put something on the chair, either a second sticky mat, which is what I'm going to use, or a blanket, or something. A second sticky mat is ideal, as you'll see why in a moment. And we'll need a block handy. So just watch again for a moment and I'll demonstrate and then we'll go from there. Oh, you may also, if you're on a hard floor like I am, you may want a blanket to comfort. So I'm going to turn it this way so I can have more mobility and more room to move. So the idea here then is I'm going to put my upper arms, my triceps on the chair, palms together in namaskar, and my forehead on the chair. And then I'm going to walk my knees back. I probably need to move my blanket a little bit further, but I'm just going to leave it here. The idea is to move your knees back until they're directly under your hips. And I think I need to go another inch or so, but we'll leave it here for now. And then as I'm here, I'm just pressing my palms together evenly. So, and then when I come out, I come out like so, and I bring my arms back up into this Urdhva Hastasana mode and namaskar. And let me just demonstrate the block version. So we're going to do it first with the narrow block, or after we do it with hands, then we do it with the narrow block position like so. I'm pressing the block evenly. Then the second time through or third time in the next wide position. And then if you can handle it, we'll go into the third position as well. So those are the ideas. So start with the block nearby. Get your structure set up as you can. And then take your elbows up onto the chair. And we want to get as much of the tricep onto the chair as you can while still being able to breathe through your nose with your forehead down on the chair. Palms together in that namaskar-like position. Then you walk your knees back till the knees are under the hips. And then you find that even symmetrical pressure of the palms together. Again, you often need to put a little extra emphasis on the ball mount of the index finger and the base of the thumb, though everyone's different. The object is to find the symmetry and even pressure. Now, as you're in this structure, one more thing, without moving, take your thighs back and get a little bit of lift of the floating ribs, because you want your back to be like a tabletop. Now, some people also need to bring their inner edge of the shoulder blade down. So the idea here is it's hard because you can't see yourselves, but some people need to bring the inner edge of the shoulder blade down toward the floor while they lift the lower back, the lumbar spine. So then they would get more flat. Okay, and then kind of walk your way, or crawl your way out of that, and bring the arms up overhead. Take a couple breaths there like this. Bring your hands back into namaskar, and then take your block. Now, if any of this feels uncomfortable, don't do it. You may just go back to the prior version. But if you can do now, you'll take your block in this narrow position, or book will work fine. Again, take the arms up onto the chair, forehead down, walk your knees back, and press the palms into the block. All right, and then crawl your way out. Bring the arms, put the block down, bring your arms up into Urdhva Hastasana mode. Namaskar. Be at ease. Just watch me for a moment. I want to just, so you can see what I'm talking about with the movement of the back. So I'm going to do it with just my palms together here. So I'm moving my knees back now. The first thing I'm going to do, you can see I've got a pretty good arch in my low back. I'm going to exaggerate, like so. So we don't want that. So to get rid of that, we lift the floating ribs and take the skin and muscles of the buttocks down. So you kind of watch how I do this. So I've got this arch in my back that I don't really want. I'm going to do this. So it flattens my back out. Now the other thing that people have is a lift up here. And it's hard for me to do that, but it's kind of like this. So what you need to do to get rid of that, to the extent that you can, is you need to take your thighs back. You need to elongate through here and bring the inner edge of the shoulder blades down. So it's like this. So if I'm like this, then I want to take my thighs back and the inner edge of the shoulder blades in. So I can't see myself, but the idea is to get your back like a tabletop. So that's the idea. So just have that in mind as you do the next version. So you can either go back to palms, use the narrow version, or if you're okay with it, then you go to the next width on the block. And we do the same exact thing. Triceps on the chair, forehead on the chair, walk the knees back, press the palms into the block. Get that movement of the lengthening of the thighs back, skin and muscles of the buttocks down, lift with the floating ribs, get that back into a tabletop-like structure. And all through it, Maintain that sense of the evenness of the pressuring of the palms into the block. All right, that's nice. So go ahead then and come out of it. Put the block down on the chair or somewhere. Bring the arms up again into Urdhva Hastasana. Take a couple of breaths. Bring your palms together into Namaskar. And be at ease for a couple of breaths again. And we'll take the block again and go to the third wide position. Although again, if this feels odd or uncomfortable or disturbing of your neck or upper back, go to one of the previous versions and repeat that. But otherwise, try it with the wide position. Otherwise, everything is the same. Again, don't grip the block with your fingers or thumb. You want to press the base knuckles of the fingers in. You may not be able to get your thumb on there now, but do what you can to have as much evenness of the circumference of the palm on the blocks. All right, and then come up out of there. Once again, bring the arms up into that Urdhva Hastasana mode. Namaskar. And then we'll stand in front of the chair and we'll do a simple standing forward bend. Feet a little apart. Bring the arms up. Inhale. Exhale. Fold forward into forward bend. And then with an inhale, come up. I'm just going to move my chair a little bit out of the way. Come into Tadasana, towards the center of your mat. Now, just as we've been working on the openness and evenness and symmetry of the hands, palms, do the same with the feet now. Open the soles of the feet long and wide onto the floor. A little extra emphasis with the big toe mounds. Tie the kneecaps into the thighs. Internal rotation with the skin and muscles of the thighs. Without moving your legs, do the action of separating your thighs so you really engage the outer thighs and hips. A little lift in the front pelvic bones, a little bit movement forward with the tailbone, movement back with the pubic bone. Floating ribs move back, skin and muscles of the buttocks move down. Torso lifts up. Hands on hips, elbows reach back toward each other. So you get a nice lift and openness in the chest. Keep all of that. Bring your hands together into Namaskar. Find that even symmetry with that pressuring. Extend the arms up. Open the palms, separate the palms, Urdhva Hastasana. Extend the heels down, fully extend up through the open palms. Bring your hands back to Namaskar. Keep all that lower body action, keep the lift and openness in the chest. And then again, bring the arms up, hands up into Urdhva Hastasana. Now turn the palms to face forward. Imagine your palms are on a wall. You've got a gentle pressure of the palms into the wall, bringing the upper arms back toward your ears. Underside of your chin parallel to the floor, a steady but unfocused gaze forward. And back to Namaskar. And back to Tadasana. Okay, so now you have two options, legs up the wall pose, or you can do the same thing with the chair. So go ahead, and you all who are watching now know what you like to do, or what you have space for. Go ahead and do it. I'm going to demonstrate the version on a chair. Now, if you have that weight that I suggested, a weight plate or a sack of flour, have that handy. I don't, so all I'm going to use is a bolster, but that's fine. So we want comfort in this, so I'm going to stretch out a blanket like so, and then another blanket for under my head. So I'm going to demonstrate this, and then I'm going to do the legs up the wall version as well for those who want to see how to do that. So the idea, though, this is really good when you've had low back stress, but it's also good for the middle and upper back because you can find that symmetry that I've been talking about the whole night. So this is the basic structure. And you look for the symmetry. Now, I have a lumbar scoliosis. That results in me having a little bit of a tweak, a little unevenness in my sacrum. So I generally cannot get perfect symmetry just lying by myself. But a little bit of weight really would help. So the idea is you would put a bolster or a blanket on your abdomen like this, and then put a weight right there. And that will gently press everything down in a symmetrical fashion. So this is how it would look if you're doing it with the chair. And again, a weight here is just an excellent way to just gently press the low back evenly and symmetrically into the floor. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead while you all are in your poses, and I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the legs up the wall version for those who are watching on tape delay later. So for those who are watching and wanting to know how to do, this is the way I structure it. There are different ways. A block against the wall, bolster against the block. And then you want to have the leading edge here of the bolster tilted up just a little bit. And then again, you want a little pillow for the head. And then the way to go in, simplest way, well, I don't know, you can somersault in. Some people do that. I like that version. But this works just fine. Just sweep yourself up and into the pose. Sometimes you have to work your way to get your butt right up against the wall. And personally, what I find when I do this, the block really doesn't help. So I move the block out of the way. I just don't really find it that useful. So then I can get my butt right up to the wall. Again, you can always put a weight here if you want. This has a different effect. This pose is somewhat different, of course, than the version on the chair. Here, the bolster kind of, it has that break point up near depending on your body type and the exact position you found, near the bottom tip of the shoulder blades. So again, this kind of pushes you into a middle and upper back symmetry, whereas the chair version kind of gives you more of a low back symmetry, emphasis or focus. So you can do different things as you may wish to find different release points and stress points. In any case, whichever version you're using now, release into it and breathe quietly and comfortably. All right, so we're going to head into Shavasana now. But if you like where you are, feel free to stay. But I'm going to talk the way out so that people who aren't familiar with it, and watch this later can do so. And then I'm going to demonstrate a different version of Shavasana that I didn't tell you about in terms of props. So you may not have enough props for it, but I'm going to demonstrate it anyway, so you can do it later if you wish. In any case, if you're coming out of, and again, you feel free to stay in viparita karani, the legs of the wall pose, inverted leg pose. If you want to come out of it now, you can bring your heels down and cross your ankles on the wall. Take a few breaths there. And then you change the interlace of your feet. And then both feet on the wall. We're going to just kind of slide off the bolster and then cross your legs. Once your butt's on the floor, you cross your legs on top of the bolster. And then cross your legs the other way. And then feet on the bolster, you roll to your side and you come up. So this is how you come out. Now, for this next thing, people who have taken my classes are familiar with this, but you need 3 blankets. And I'll demonstrate how to set it up. So you have the blanket in its regular kind of fold like so, and then you fold it in this lengthwise kind of way. And then you position it like so. Now the feathered end is going to be my feet end. So then I take the second blanket, same fold, and I'm going to put it on top of the other one. But you see how the folded edge, it's opposite. Here's the open fold, here's the closed fold. It goes here like so, only it's a little bit stepped. There's a little step to it. Third blanket, the fold flips the other way. And again, a step. Now you can do a fourth blanket if you like. I tend to go with 3. The fourth can give you more of a feeling of symmetry perhaps, but I think this works. And if you get 4, it starts to get a little unstable. Block goes here. That ends up being kind of the pillow, like so. And I think I need a little more room, so I'm bring it all down this way. And then you sit on the floor with your butt just at the edge of that bottom blanket, and then you rest over it like so. Reposition the block as need be. And as you may be able to see here, I'm a little out of room, but you let your feet and legs fall out to the sides. And this is a supremely comfortable position for Shavasana. Now, if you don't have all of the structure right now, just stretch yourself out in a regular Shavasana. Or again, legs up the wall is just fine, or legs up on the chair, just fine. Any of those are great. But this is a wonderful structure for people who just want to find some peace and quiet, a gentle, supported back opener and releaser. In any case, wherever you are, you're going to take your Shavasana. You're going to let the breath move to a very quiet place, breathing in and out the nose. No effort. Just release into gravity's pull. Quiet, even breath. And just let yourself, frankly, drift off. Not strictly speaking to sleep, but a kind of sleep. The idea being that for all practical purposes, you're asleep, except one tiny beam of consciousness stays focused on something. It could be the sound and movement of your breath. It could be a mantra that you repeat in your head. It could be really any, it could be a prayer. It could be, E equals MC squared. Whatever you could find that like, okay, that works for me as a single point of concentration. Pratyahara is withdrawal of awareness of sense objects, external sense objects. So that's part of what we're doing, bringing the awareness internally. Then also dharana, which is a focus on a single point of awareness. Again, that could be sound and movement of your breath. It could be a prayer, it could be a mantra, it could be the syllable Om. Repeat it within your head, focus on your breath. But for all practical purposes, just let yourself go as if off into sleep, but for that tiny point of awareness. All right, so feel free to just stay in your Shavasana if you wish, but it's time to bring the class to an end. So wherever you are, come out of the pose if your legs are up the wall, or again, feel free to stay. But for everyone who wishes to do so, coming out of this stacked blanket thing, I generally just like to bend my knees and being aware of being on a height and carefully just kind of roll off. And then stay curled up for a few breaths, no rushing coming out of Shavasana. And when I'm ready to come up, I just use a little arm strength, bring the crown of my head up last and push to a seated posture. All right. Thanks everyone for coming. Namaste.
Namaste.
All right. Good night, everyone. I'll send out a message about New Year's, but there'll be a New Year's Day class at some time or another. And, invite anybody you wish to come to